think it's about time I make this video because I've been wanting to do it for a while. I've got a basic structure for this video. I want to make the disclaimer and then I'll just take it from there. My original idea was to make an intro, then a disclaimer, and then just go for it. But in my mind, in the moment, it makes more sense for me to announce the disclaimer and then take it from there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. If you are looking for a video that's only a minute long, which shows 10 years plus worth of progress, or in my case, 2 years, this video is not for you. Click off, don't bother watching it because it's almost been a minute now and I am nowhere near done talking. I think try to show how much progress I've made in 2 years in the space of a minute is just not in any way truly representative of how 2 years worth of transforming's gone. Transforming meaning going out my way to improve my way of life. Sometimes that would come with its downs, sometimes I wouldn't be progressing as much as I could do, but that's just as much a part of the story as plateauing and also going on the up is. Alright, so that's the disclaimer out of the way. I went way more in depth in the blooper video for the disclaimer, but I've got a whole load of script notes, so I could just copy and paste that down in the description. However, now that I've done the disclaimer, I am now going to go through the intro. Now, this intro is basically a backstory as to how I got to before actually starting this journey and saying that I've had enough on the 20th of August 2021, which is now over 2 years ago. Okay, well, the first memories that I have, at least in my adolescence anyway, that were fitness oriented was when I was in year 13, sorry. I remember one time in particular, I was just thinking of wanting to go to the gym and I was complaining a lot. In this period of my life, I used to complain a lot. I was very much in a way worse physical state, a way worse mental state, social state, etc. I really used to complain a lot. I used to bully people in school. I got bullied, but from maybe middle school, from maybe year 6 to year 13, I was bullying people. I was not a pleasant person to hang around with, depending on how you portrayed or how they portrayed themselves. I definitely am not proud of that whatsoever. But that is just as much a part of the story and as the other parts of my story are that I will get into. The bullying that I did, I think, is actually quite an integral part of the story, and I think that bullying I did was by way of channeling my anger from situations that were going on at home. My parents in particular not being given the permission to do what I'd want to do for my parents, which I sought out for and didn't get. And also there are some times in which, even now, I think how my parents treated me was just outright unacceptable. And I'd stew in my room. That's how I'd say it. I'd stew in my room. My feelings of resentment toward them and straight fury, very intense fury, would just breed. And I'd just go out my way to just cope with it on my own. I wasn't dealing with it. I think there's a difference between coping with something and dealing with something. in my mind, at least now anyway. To me, dealing with something means actually solving the issue, but coping with it is just, in my mind, coping mechanism oriented, meaning that you have said situation going on, but you don't know how to deal with it, so you just go out of your way to try and tolerate it. And to be fair, at such an age in my adolescence, it wasn't like I could move out, so that in my mind was probably maybe not the most healthy of solutions, but it was a solution to a problem. Like, going out of my way to just watch a whole load of YouTube to drown my feelings definitely did help, or seemingly helped. And even though I'd rationally say I want to stop watching YouTube so much, even to this day, it makes sense as to why I did do that so much, because there was a lot going on at home. It was so chaotic at home. And that's very much relevant to this video, to this transformation, because in response to such an environment, I remember just saying, in the words of someone else who said the same thing, I just want peace. And alongside that, with wanting to like how I look more, I have now got to this point. Very, very basically, there's way more to the story than just that, but with such thoughts combined together, I've now gone down a path of pursuing health, living a healthy lifestyle. And as I age, if I do, because I don't know how long I'll live for, not that I think I'm going to die soon, but living a certain amount of years isn't guaranteed. I am now pursuing this path, as I'm saying, and that I would like to imagine that as I age, I'll be able to reminisce in peace or happiness, or maybe even both, when thinking about what I've done in order to live a high quality of life. Might be some things that I'm not proud of, but that's just how it goes. Okay, I want to take it back even further now. All the way back to my childhood, and then I might go back to talking about my adolescence, and then that will explain how I got to this point in which I said to myself that I've had enough on that day, on the 20th of August 2021, and how I got to the point of making the channel. And then I'll also talk about after that point, right up to the present day. Okay, hold on a second. My ankles are going numb. I thought this would be a difficult video to make, but now that I'm winging it, it's not so hard. I don't feel so overwhelmed. I've got one of my level 3 PT exams today, and I'm doing this, but I've been wanting to do this for over a month now. Same way I have been wanting to do my PT exams for over a month, to be fair, but I'm gonna get back to talking about this video. Okay, so since childhood, I was quite physically active actually. In school, used to play a lot of football. I used to run around, and as I got older, although I was still rather physically active, I was actually quite overweight. I had a chubby face, and I remember a year 7 photo when I was in middle school. I had a very chubby face, but then again, as you're growing, I think that's fine. At least you're not extremely shredded. That might provide difficulties for growing. I might be wrong there, but I mean, I've grown to at least look normal, even though, because all think we might all have different definitions of what normal is. I think I look like a normal human being. But anyway, even though I was really fat back then, I had so much fat on my body back then. But anyway, I remember now a smile on my face back when I used to play imaginary football as well, just pretending to kick footballs when I didn't actually have one. I had some fun memories. I even remember like one time it was so windy. It was quite a lightweight ball. The ball just curved like this and it went in. Oh, that was a goal and a half. Sent the goalkeeper the complete opposite direction in which the ball was travelling to begin with, and then just curved like that. That was I wouldn't usually think of that memory, but yeah, that was nice. I obviously enjoy sports, and if I'm remembering that with a smile on my face, I must enjoy sports somewhat. Maybe I should get back into it beyond just what I'm doing now, like the calisthenics and eventually gymnastics too when I go to classes. See, because I'm remembering it with such a smile on my face. I remember I remember feeling happy in my childhood. That definitely wasn't the case during my adolescence. I felt really angry during my adolescence, but during my childhood, I felt okay. I had my toy helicopter. I used to. I remember one time I did get chased by dogs, but I was with my dad, and we were just walking around. That was fun. That was actually before he started bullying me. But hey, hey. Yeah, that was fun as well. What else? Um, I used to play GTA a lot on the PSP. Yes, the PlayStation Portable. That was generate the consoles are generations back, but hey, that was that was actually that was quite fun. I don't. I must have enjoyed it. I think I was playing games I shouldn't have been playing at that age. I had Call of Duty Black Ops 1 on the white Xbox 360 at 9 years old. Me and one of my sisters were sharing a Xbox 360 membership, online membership, which one of our family relatives gave me. I was playing games that I should not have been playing. So much murder in the games. Oh my gosh. I genuinely, when I was, I think I played 5 when I was about 9 years old, as in the Call of Duty Zombies map, Call of Duty Black Ops 1 Zombies map, and I remember feeling fucking terrified. I think I played with my sister um, back during this first time, but hobbies wise, I say all of this to say that hobbies wise, I was very active, and I think that partially explains why I I remember feeling so happy, even though that might not be truly representative of how my childhood actually went from day to day. And then from there, as I was starting to grow up, going into middle school from about year 5 onwards, I'd say, particularly year 6, that was when looking at it, unfortunately, started to get slightly less physically active. I remember people wouldn't pass the ball to me during football matches, and definitely, I remember definitely being quite the sensitive individual when people wouldn't be, when the popular kids, the cool kids, wouldn't be talking to me. I remember crying. I was bawling my eyes out, and this was when I was about 12 years old. I remember crying to a lady in my year, or a girl rather, a girl in my year. I think, yeah, around about 12 or 11. Yeah. Goodness me, I remember it. I remember bawling my eyes out so much, but I think I wore it like a badge of honor. The next year, when I was about 13, I'd say that was the last time I ever cried about something something because I felt emotional about it. I wore that like a badge of honor. But then things changed ever since. A family relative died of terminal cancer, and I tried getting the tears out, just couldn't. but it makes sense now when I put two and two together. Wearing, not crying for years due to something emotional. Not that's excluding tearing up for whatever reason. To like clear under your eyes, for example. Because I think, if I remember correctly, tears are it can be antiseptic, if I remember correctly. But yeah, wearing not crying for emotional reasons as a badge of honor would explain why I wouldn't want to, or why I find it so difficult to cry. When trying to try and grieve over someone that was a family friend that died of terminal cancer. Didn't happen. And I even said I almost cried like a bitch at the fact that I saw that person in some of their final moments. And to this day, years later, I still haven't managed to get a tear out. The person wanted to remember us with a smile on our faces, and I did just that, in memory of them, even though the people in the funeral around me were crying. That's family included. My family, that is, they were family friend and not. From a genetic standpoint, they weren't related to us at all. But yeah, it makes sense. I didn't expect to talk about that now. I wasn't even sure I was going to talk about that at all, but there you go. But to get back to it, let's talk about I'm going to talk about when I was 13 years old, seeing as I've got to that point now, from that memory, when I was in a lot of pain, a lot of physical pain, which is why I cried during actually watching people play football. But I was out. I was just sat down in the playground because of the amount of back pain that I was going through. I think it was actually right below my shoulder blades, in my spine area. I remember it was that intense. Even 8 years later, I still remember that pain, even somewhat. Maybe not as intensely as the pain in which I experienced from breaking my wrist, but even after that, after when I was 10, when I broke my wrist, I was still out playing football. So I must have liked football somewhat, but maybe then again, to be fair, I might not have been thinking about it like that. It's just something I do, so I kept on doing it out of habit. It was just a way I'd have fun, and also a way I'd be able to experience external validation from people through talking to people who play football and seeming like I'm a part of a circle. At least seeming like it. Yeah. Okay, so 13 years old. I'd say from this point onward, let's say after transitioning from my final year in middle school to then year 9 when I was still 13, this is me in high school now, I'd say I started to get less physically active past a certain point, maybe as I was about to turn 14, because when I was 13, I got more physically active. Oh my goodness. I've just had a realization. It's so obvious now when I think of it, but here it goes anyway. I used to go to athletics club, so I'd say I was actually, in fact, getting more physically active compared to how physically active I was during middle school. And during this time, I got shamed for my lack of physical ability level from a girl that had some internalized misogynistic thoughts. To explain, we were doing push-ups and I couldn't do one, but she could do quite a few. And she was saying you can't even do as much push-ups as me. You can't even do as many push-ups as a girl, or something along those lines, to imply that girls are weak, girls are physically incompetent, and that isn't something that I agree with at all, on the premise that we're talking about women's physical capabilities and exercise strictly off their gender. There are many women that can do push-ups. I just think that was a very sexist, misogynistic comment coming from her. Oh, a second. But then again, we were like 13 years old, so how is she supposed to know any better? The answer to that question, I think, would be her parents, but then again, it's not like her parents were there. We were just all as a group with the coach, who was actually quite old, to be honest. He didn't take care of himself. He was morbidly obese, even more obese than my dad. But hey, that's his choice. I personally think, regardless of age, you still can keep healthy. I mean, look at Scott Bernhard's auntie, 70 years old, and look how healthy she's staying. Yeah, it could be a facade, but with some things genuinely are just the truth. It could be fake, but then again, you could say the same thing with this channel. My efforts could be just one massive facade. It could just all be fake, all CGI. less than 2 years of CGI. I was just making my bed. Anyway, as I was saying, I got laughed at, not only by her once, but by her twice, and the whole group, in fact. During one time, it was a very cold winter night or winter evening. And during this time, I got laughed at by an entire group of individuals that I might have been trying to go out my way to experience external validation from. I don't really remember, but yeah, even to this day, 8 years later, I still remember that. And I think from there, I experienced so much maybe shame from being laughed at such an amount that I might have just wanted to stop trying, because I wouldn't want to be laughed at like that again. That didn't happen again, but that could have been why I gave up on fitness, and I'd be able to use school, which I thought, honestly, I think with most stuff in school, it's just an absolute waste of time. I was able to use studying for exams as an excuse to not stay physically fit. Plus, at this time, I didn't have, and I still don't have, health conscious parents. I didn't have older figures showing me the value of health. My parents' motive was to survive, and I argue to this present day still is, to just survive and to just exist another day. And although I remember going to a martial arts club one time, I wasn't taught the value of just physical activity as a whole, let alone learning how to fight. So I think the odds were somewhat against me in terms of what was going on at home and my chances of seeing a higher quality of life beyond just existing and eating unhealthily large amounts of food. Like father, like son. My dad would have massive plates of food, and I didn't know any better. He didn't teach me any better. Scales, what's that? You'd use that for cakes, not to weigh out your food. And if you had small portions, if I had small portions, even to this day, my mum would ask me, "Oh, was that all you're having?" Like, it's a problem to not eat. Like, it's a problem to eat amounts that aren't unhealthily large, and that would lead you to a path of either getting to an overweight weight class or becoming morbidly obese. Even to this day, not having excessively large portions is odd in this house. Well, not to me, but to my parents anyway. Yeah, and eating in excessively large amounts would make it unnecessarily difficult to stay physically active. I'd just be trying to rest from having so much food. I was so... Is infatuated the word? I don't think so. Maybe that's too far. But I really liked the taste of my mum's food. I really liked it, and I just keep eating and eating and eating and eating. Hence, I remember being so chubby at 11, during year 7 when I was in middle school. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep going through the ages. So I'd say I've got to about when I was 13 during the athletics clubs, and then eventually I quit. I gave up. I remember one time someone was joking with me. It was a harmless joke, but I was like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And I genuinely left. I genuinely went home. And then the next time we spoke, he said, you didn't actually think you'd leave. But yeah, I did. And that, without me realizing it at the time, could have been one of the major turning points in my life as to which explained why I was beginning to get so physically inactive in my life during this period. Later on, I started to realize, or started to sense, that the inside environment at home was becoming very toxic, very hostile between me, my sisters, and my parents. You know, there was so much arguing, there was so much shouting, and this is relevant for physical activity, in terms of physical activity, because in order to escape that environment, I go for walks, long walks. I remember walking 10 miles. Was it 10 miles once? I was out for hours just to escape that environment because I felt so angry. I felt so angry, and I didn't. That was my way of managing that. That was my source of anger management that helped in the moment, but didn't help when I was at home. I just wanted to leave. In terms of what I did at home, I just watch a whole load of YouTube videos, honestly. That was my coping mechanism. Didn't help me deal with it in a healthy way, but I wasn't really thinking about that back then. I was just trying to not watch YouTube as much. This was maybe during, oh no, that's A levels. I was going to talk about dopamine detox. That's not at this time. That's A levels. But yeah, during this time, that was how things were going. Again, still bullying. It was one person. Not that makes it any more valid that I did what I did. It was a lot of pushing around I did. A lot of pushing around, physical abuse, like pushing around, grabbing like someone. I pick on people that were physically weaker than me because I was weak myself at home. I think that's why. But yeah, when it came to the outside environment, for the most part, I was at least somewhat pleasant. Overall, I mean, but in terms of interacting with people that I liked, I really enjoyed that, and I did not bully those people whatsoever. I liked the conversations that I had with those people and how we interacted. I don't think I was like that deep down, but in terms of how unfairly I thought I was being treated at home, and also from being bullied in school, I think I naturally took that path of bullying other people back. Not the same people, but just bullying in general, because that was my way of releasing my anger, regardless of how that could have made me feel long term, and regardless of how that could have made those people that I, in my mind, now bullied in that moment, and also long term too, which I wasn't thinking of. It wasn't healthy whatsoever. all of that stuff that I was doing. And although I can find a reason for why I was like that, I don't think it was fair. I don't think it was fair whatsoever, and I definitely do have remorse for those individuals that in my mind I bullied back then, from year 6 to year 13, all the way from middle school, basically second year of middle school, to then upper school, up to GCSEs, right up to the end of year 13. This was during the pandemic, so if we weren't let off during February, I probably would have kept going anyway. In terms of the bullying that I was doing to that one person I'm thinking of in particular, I probably would have kept going anyway. But yeah, I definitely do regret. I definitely do regret what I've done. I definitely do feel sorry for those people. I do feel sorry for those people, and I think I've learned from it. I think I did that because I felt weak at home, and that was my way of going out my way to feel powerful and get back to a balance of not feeling so weak, just feeling okay. But I don't think that was the healthy way of going about it. And to this day, I still don't know how to fight. However, if I had learned back then maybe I wouldn't have become a bully. I wouldn't have had bullying tendencies. I definitely would like to do that anyway. I definitely would like to do that regardless, because sometimes I still don't feel comfortable at home when my dad would threaten me. He'd sometimes threaten that he'd hit me. And I take that very seriously. I feel physically threatened by that. And by that, I mean, I start shaking. I'd experience quite a lot of anxiety, I think it is. People might be able to call it maybe is it a panic attack? I don't know, maybe. But definitely a lot of anxiety, like flooding my body, basically. And I think if I learned how to fight, I wouldn't feel that way at least as much. And I wouldn't just let him use such words. It's the sort of stuff where in my mind I think I don't even want to turn up to his funeral after all this stuff, after all the negative experiences. And I think about the things that I could view as positive that he's done for me, but in my mind they're cancelled out by his manipulative nature, because he would just hold them against me, say, well, I did this for you, I did that for you. Mum's not much different either. So to try and work around it, what I've heard is called stonewalling, just not speak, try to not speak to my parents, and basically speak to them as little as I can. And during, when I was, say, I'll move on in the story now, from about 14 onward, even up to the present day, I do that thing called stonewalling, where you're basically just answering with extremely brief one-worded answers or few-worded answers, just trying to get through a conversation, not trying to have a conversation with my parents in this case. My interactions with them has been very much an integral part of why I'm at where I'm at today. It definitely has. It's a part of actually why I have posted so many videos, because I felt so furious at my mum. This was how I'd express my fury of from her telling me I'm not doing anything over and over and over again. This would be my outlet to, in my mind, prove her wrong. I wouldn't show her the videos. I wouldn't show anyone the videos, really. I've been doing this for less than 2 years, and although I've been caught recording videos for this channel, I don't think they know yet. But hey, I'd like to imagine I just keep that on the hush permanently. It's not something that I want them to know about. But anyway, yeah, speaking about my mum, this is just fast forward a few years in this story, up to maybe about a year ago from this point, from today, I'd be told, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm not doing anything, I'm not doing anything. And my mum would ask me so many times about searching for work before I was ready to give her an update as to how it was going. And I felt furious. Pissed off is an understatement. Furious. Enraged to the point where I've now publicly uploaded a couple of thousand of videos, and I plan to keep going. I like where things are heading, and I think I'd at least like to imagine that even if I am still feeling furious at my mum for her saying that I'm not doing anything with my life, even though I knew damn well I was, I'd like to imagine that my motivation to keep going isn't just that. I do actually enjoy, like, where I'm living way more than I did back a year ago. I enjoy, well, how things are going, my social life, my in terms of physical health, pay. I've got work now. I'm actually employed now. Things are definitely, in my opinion, going on the up. I just would like to learn how to manage my stress a bit more, give myself larger windows for downtime. That way I don't tire out and I don't feel overwhelmed. But then again, the reason why I felt overwhelmed these past few days, and this past while actually, I don't know how long, is because I've had, and maybe let's say a few weeks, is because I've had so many videos throughout August and September this month, which I've wanted to upload and catch up on uploads, as I've been getting used to uploading on a daily basis again. Man, wait, I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, no, I don't know where I was going. Nah, never mind. I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. But yeah, okay, so yeah, I felt so furious that I've made a couple of thousand of videos now and I plan to keep going. And as I was saying, I'd like to imagine that my reasons to keep going aren't at least as much, because I felt so furious toward my mum saying such things, that I'm not doing anything with my life, because I knew it wasn't true. We, even at this point in time, I believe that we viewed doing stuff with with the connotations of it being with my life as different things. She, for example, might not value physical activity as much as I do, but I do care, and I do view that as something that's worth doing, even though she might not. And that's why, that's a part of why she is where she is with her physical health, and why I'm at where I'm at with my physical health, because I value it more than her. I have gone to different spaces in which physical health is valued. For example, the gyms, and speaking to personal trainers, having personal training sessions, and I've now seen better than what my parents have given me. In my opinion, I've seen a higher quality of life in which physical health and mental health is valued, social health too, speaking to people and that sort of stuff, rather than, like, my mum especially, complaining every day about things that don't even concern her and don't even affect her in any way whatsoever. Like, quite a bit of stuff on the news. Can't give exact examples, but my mum, it's like she genuinely likes to complain, or perhaps she's been doing it for so long that she doesn't want to do better, although she might know better. It's not like she's mentally incapable of understanding that not complaining might actually be helpful in aiding you toward living a more mentally healthy life. Speaking of, I've never heard mental health come out of her mouth. I've never heard that. I don't really hear any of my family members talk about that at all. Not even family relatives. But then again, different ways of life, different ways of thinking, etc. Plus, just because I haven't heard it doesn't mean it's not. Talks about mental health aren't going on at home. Yeah. I like to imagine that I'm feeling more motivated because of how things are going, and all this stuff that I'm doing is now finally paying off. Like going out my way to work on my physique's finally paying off. In the space of a couple of months, I've decreased my weight by about 7 or something kg. I weighed 88.7 kg on the 12th of July this year, and I now weigh 82. So if you do the maths, that is 6.7. That's just, I didn't even need it anymore. I don't even need it. I've done the maths. Yeah, it's a 6.7 kg decrease. 10 out of 10. I really like how things are going, and I don't necessarily think that I'd have to decrease my weight to 70 in order to see my abs to an amount that I'd like. That's one of my main factors of that's one of my main determining factors of seeing the results I'd like, because I've been wanting to see my abs for a while now, for a few years actually, and although I've achieved that once, I want to achieve it again and keep those results by going in small increments with my body transformation and eating in a way that would help me increase my strength and that sort of stuff. Going on what people might call lean bulks rather than just increase my weight by about 20 kg and then wanted to go back down. I weighed 70, not 20 kg, 10 kg, my bad. I weighed about 75. Then I went up to, my goal was to get to 85 to bulk up to a size in which people around my height look muscular on YouTube. Went up to 85, but then I overdid it, went overboard, went to 90. Now I'm wanting to go back to like 75 kg. And I'd say I'm almost halfway there. Seeing as within the space of over 2 months, I have decreased my weight by 6.7 kg, as I said. But anyway, this is all relevant because it is a part of my life. Like transforming my body is a part of my life. It does determine like how I think, how much I eat, determines how I think, how I feel, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.